Hello, I'm Hayley here from the Tasmanian Farmers and Graziers Association, joined by my colleague Kylie. And today we're speaking with Cheryl, who has also encountered a few issues with the smart meters that Aurora installed on her property. Thanks for joining us today, Cheryl. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to speak with us. If you could just go into briefly what's happened at your property.
Certainly. We actually held an energy day on our farm back in March 2019, which Aurora were present at and promoted the smart meters. And there was quite a few farmers there. So the key messages on that day was, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Install these smart meters. You don't have to deal with meter readers anymore. You have access to the energy market and access to your data and potentially even better tariffs. So we launched into organising that. So we had 8 smart meters installed over July and August 2019, one at our dairy and the rest were on irrigation pumps. So that all went well. The guys came from Metering Dynamics, installed them all. They said everything was fine. They didn't comment to us about any issues. And it wasn't until October when we realised we had an issue with one of our pumps, or 2 of our pumps. One was a fire and the other one was basically not fit for purpose.
Okay, and can you describe the effect that that's had on your farm and your business?
Yep, so the one that had the fire, the fuses melted. So when they installed the meters, they put 80 amp fuses on them, and one of the irrigation pumps controls a traveller, and the fuses melted and caused a fire in the switchboard. And that was right just before Christmas, the 23rd of December. So our electrician and Tas Networks came out and we looked at what we needed to do to get that traveller running, because it was a critical time of year for us. So we replaced the switchboard and got that all going. And so we haven't had a problem with that one. But at the same time, our river pump, which does 34 hectares of irrigation close to our dairy, we've had a pump in there for 21 years. It's a 125 amp pump and we've never had a problem with it. We've never ever had an issue with it. If Tas Networks had to come out, it's because of a pole fuse or a general outage. They came out between 6 and 8 times. We lost count. Because it was a power outage, because the fuses melted and on the smart meter, you have to ring Tas Networks. Can't ring Aurora, they don't deal with power outages. So they put 100 amp fuses in to replace the 80. They kept blowing, they kept melting. I've actually got a melted one on my desk here as a trophy. And we had to wind our irrigation system, our VSD drive, we had to wind it back to between 70 and 80% to try and take the load off. So the smart meter with its 80 amp and then the 100 amp, which is I have no problems with Tas Networks. The boys that came out locally did an awesome job trying to keep our irrigation going. But the 100 amp fuse wasn't fit for purpose. The plate on our pump says 125 and that's the irrigation pump. There's also a stock water pump in there and the smart meter itself requires amperage to run. So basic electrical knowledge, we thought, should have been brought to our attention at the installation.
I understand that you've had a shed fire as a result also.
Yes, so the fire and the traveller pump was, it was frustrating, but we sort of had to get it sorted. The ongoing issue with the river pump is that every time the fuses melted, like Tio was going down there, my husband Tio was going down there every night to check that it was working. And often there was heat already coming off the fuses, so he would shut it down, loss of irrigation hours. One of the instances, he turned the light on in the pump shed and the wires were exposed. So if he had actually placed his hand anywhere near the meter, he would have been electrocuted. And he was, the stress and the distress, night after night, but the distress around that was if it hadn't been my husband doing that, it was one of our workers, then not only, there's potential of death, basically.
Yes, we're talking about potential.
It would have been an electrocution and we would not have been able to live with ourselves if one of our workers had been electrocuted, let alone one of our family members. So that in itself was quite horrifying.
Of course. And what can you just describe briefly the financial and health and safety impacts that this has had on you, your family, and your business?
Yeah. I guess the health and safety, I've just explained the safety one, the potential electrocution, and the stress, because it was irrigation season. So we benchmark each year with the Tasmanian Institute of Agriculture. So we have 10 years worth of benchmarking data on our pasture growth. And so we're able to work out that we lost 91,800 kilos of dry matter because of the reduction of irrigation. So in that particular year, last year, that was $68,000 worth of milk income conservatively. So, and I worked that back, pasture, converting it to milk solids, our fat ratio, and I double checked this off with an industry professional.
Yes.
and that's what it worked out to be, was $68,000 worth of loss just in milk income. If we had tried to retrieve that production, it would have been another $63,000 worth of, say, silage and grain. And we'd already lost the income, so we didn't have the money to buy it. So our production was lost. The other thing that we've had to now proceed with is CT metering, because this is an ongoing problem. It hasn't been resolved. Aurora haven't resolved it for us. We're going to have to install CT metering, and conservatively, that's $25,000. So we've already spent $10,000 getting the design for that, just so we're prepared for the next irrigation season, hopefully without the stress of this all going on.
I think this is a real watch this space, and Kylie and myself and the TFGA look forward to following this story and also helping you out as much as we can into the future. So we'll wind it up there for now, but definitely let's keep each other posted about what our next step is and how we can help resolve this matter for you.
Absolutely, thank you. And you guys aren't the only ones helping. We've had help from our Fonterra reps, Dairy Tas, and our electrician, and the Tas Network guys have been awesome.
Thank you very much, Cheryl.